On December 28, 2025, a humid, quiet morning over the South China Sea was suddenly rocked by something unbelievable. From the Chinese coast, 140 nautical miles away, a blinding flash lit up the sky. An HQ-19 anti-stealth missile shot up at Mach 14, locked onto a single target, America's prize B-2 Spirit bomber. With only 19 of these bad boys out there, each worth a whopping $0.1 billion and capable of delivering 40,000 pounds of precise destruction, the stakes couldn't be higher. The missile had just 40 seconds to erase the bomber from existence, but Beijing's strike was a costly miscalculation. Within hours, Washington unleashed the hammers of war. The retaliation was swift and brutal. To rearm B-2 Spirits, stealth fighters slipping through the skies like shadows, and a swarm of A-guided suicide drones launched from a U.S. carrier. Their mission was absolute: obliterate the launch site that dared to challenge America. As the drone surged like a living tide to overwhelm Chinese defenses, a terrifying question hung in the air. Did the missile connect, or had China just gambled everything by striking at the untouchable symbol of American air dominance? 9:40 a.m. December 28th. The calm skies over the South China Sea split open as the ghostly outline of the B-2 Spirit appeared. A flying wing stretching 170 feet across, yet designed to look no bigger than a bird on radar. To Washington, the bomber's flight path was routine international airspace. To Beijing, it was a trespass into sovereign territory. And in less than a minute, China made a decision that could ignite the world. China fires on America's B-2 bomber. The world holds its breath. Inside a hardened missile control bunker on China's southern coast, the order was given. An HQ-19 anti-stealth missile roared to life. This wasn't just any interceptor. It was designed to kill the world's most elusive aircraft. Armed with a 400-pound fragmentation warhead, it tore through the sky at Mach 14, nearly 10,700 mph. The ground shook as a column of fire and smoke clawed upward, chasing a ghost in the sky. That ghost was America's $0.1 billion B-2 Spirit. In the cockpit, the pilot's threat display flared red, warning incoming. He had less than 40 seconds before the missile closed the gap. 50 meters vanished in a heartbeat, but the B-2 was built for survival. Banking hard, the pilot unleashed electronic countermeasures, scrambling the missile's lock. At 35,000 feet, a blinding white flash ripped across the heavens. The missile detonated, harmless, yards away. The encounter was over in 1 minute and 54 seconds. But in those 114 seconds, Beijing had crossed the line. At Indo-Pacom in Hawaii, alarms blazed across control screens. This wasn't a misfire. This wasn't a mistake. To Washington, it was the opening move in a dangerous game. If you were commander-in-chief, what do you do? Retaliate instantly or wait for China's excuse? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments. The moment the B-2 pilot confirmed survival, a priority flash report streaked through secured channels to Indo-Pacom. Within minutes, satellites and AWACS radar painted the full picture. The missile's origin was pinpointed to a fortified launch site 140 nautical miles from Scarborough Shoal. The data was chilling. The launch signature matched China's newest first strike anti-stealth network. The kind of system built not for warning shots, but for war. And under U.S. rules of engagement, the message was clear: fire on an American aircraft in international airspace. And it's no accident. It's aggression. By 9:57 a.m., the Situation Room in Washington lit up. The president, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and the commander of Indo-Pacom stared into secure video feeds. The question wasn't if the U.S. would respond, only how. The numbers don't lie, and neither did the response. The facts were brutal. One B-2 Spirit isn't just an aircraft. It's 10% of America's entire stealth bomber fleet. Losing even one meant more than a $2.1 billion financial hit. It meant a strategic earthquake. The president had less than minutes to decide. His call came fast. Operation Iron Dagger was a go. The mission simple to say, impossible to ignore. Take out the missile battery, blind the radar, and obliterate the launch site while avoiding unnecessary collateral damage. Countdown -6 hours across Guam's runways and aboard the USS Ronald Reagan cruise sprang into motion. Engines roared to life. Bomb bays opened. Pilots strapped in. America's counterstrike wasn't just a response. It was a message to the entire Pacific. Don't test us. Before I tell you exactly what firepower the U.S. unleashed, hit that like and subscribe. You're about to watch history in the making. By 10:15 a.m., Operation Iron Dagger was etched onto Indo-Pacom's mission board. This wasn't a warning shot. This was precision destruction engineered to wipe the HQ-19 launch site off the map in under 90 seconds from the first bomb drop. At the heart of the plan, the most elusive bomber ever built, the B-2 Spirit. A machine so rare only 19 exist. Each worth $2.1 billion, each carrying more destructive power than the entire air force of some nations. The strike force to B-2's call signs Nightfall 1 and Nightfall 2. Between them, they carried 16 GBU-31JD dams, $2,000 pound precision-guided bombs, each with the accuracy to land within 30 feet of its target. And once those bombs were released, China's coastal fortress wouldn't stand a chance. The arsenal of Iron Dagger, the B-2 South, weren't flying in blind. Their payload 16JD MIS was terrifyingly precise. From $25,000 FT, each bomb could hit a doorway. When they struck, they carried the power to carve 10-meter craters straight through reinforced concrete. And supporting them were the F-35C Lightning II South. Their APG-81 AESA radars are capable of tracking up to 1,000 targets at once. Armed with Mach 2 plus AGM-88G ARG anti-radiation missiles, they were hunters built to silence Chinese radars before they even knew they were being watched, but keeping this strike alive over the Pacific required endurance. To KC for 6A Pegasus refuelers carried over 112,000 doses of fuel, each enough to keep the B-2 Spirits in the air for more than 24 hours. Without them, the 6,000 nautical mile round trip was impossible. The deception was just as lethal as the strike itself. From the flight deck of the USS Ronald Reagan 8 F-18E Super Hornets screamed into the sky, releasing 30 to ADM 160 MAL JD decoys. Each one replicated the radar signature of a massive B-5 bomber, while blasting out 500W jamming signals across multiple bands. In seconds, Chinese radar screens would be drowning in chaos. Over 100 Phantom bombers lighting up their displays. Which one was real? Which one was bait? The defenders wouldn't have time to figure it out. Meanwhile, EA-18G Growlers spread a wall of electronic interference, jamming communications across 150 miles and shutting down enemy coordination, like pulling the plug on their nervous system. The attack axis came from 3 directions at once. MAL decoys swarming in from the east, F-35s sliding in from the south, and the B-2 South threading the needle from the southwest through a radar corridor so narrow their signatures looked smaller than a golf ball. By T- for hours, every aircraft was in the air. Engines thundered, bomb bays armed, radars jammed. Somewhere along the Chinese coast, an HQ-19 missile battery sat silent, unaware that $6 billion in stealth bombers, $80,000 of precision munitions, and more than 1 million pounds of jet fuel were already committed to wiping it off the map. The clock was ticking, the final approach. What other weapons do you think could have made this strike unstoppable? Drop your thoughts below. Now, watch as America's most advanced arsenal moves in for the kill. To 03 a.m. local time, the strike package crossed the Comet Line in the Philippine Sea. The B-2 Spirits Nightfall 1 and Nightfall 2 were less than 320 nautical miles from the Chinese coast. They were practically invisible, with a radar cross-section of just 0.001 square meters. Even the most advanced phase array systems would have to be within 25 miles just to get a solid track. At $35,000, their GEF-118 engines whispered at minimum thrust, cutting their heat signature to almost nothing. For infrared seekers, the bombers were ghosts. But ahead of them, the real trick was already in motion. 30 to MAL J decoys launched earlier by FA-18 Super Hornets were flooding Chinese airspace. Each one mimicked the radar signature of a massive B-5 bomber, while blasting 500W jamming beams into enemy early warning bands. On Chinese radar screens, it didn't look like the stealth bombers were inbound. It looked like an entire wing of B-52s charging in from the east. And the deception worked. Chinese HQ-9 and HQ-20 batteries swiveled eastward, their launchers tracking phantoms. Operators shifted attention, diverting radar rays, wasting precious time on ghosts while the real threat slipped in from the southwest. Meanwhile, the F-35Cs cut in low and wide, silent predators hunting in the dark. Their distributed aperture systems could detect a missile launch from 800 meters away, turning the night sky into a living radar screen. Each Lightning II carried AGM-88G or GM anti-radiation missiles primed to launch the second any Chinese short-range SAM radar dared to switch on. If the enemy blinked, the F-35s would silence them in an instant. The trap was set. The decoys had drawn blood and the Spirits were closing in. The kill shot to 14 a.m. The Spirits crossed the Chinese coastline at 31,000 dun FT, dropping lower into weapons release. Profile. Below them lay the target, a fortified HQ-19 missile battery. Its radar dome and hardened command bunker were packed into a 3-acre complex shielded by blast walls. Inside the B-2 cockpit, the ANP 181 radar painted the site in razor-sharp detail. Every structure mapped in real time down to sub-meter precision. At the same moment, GPS-guided jam sensed within 18 in of accuracy. The crosshairs were locked, weapons hot. The call from Nightfall 1. In less than 15 seconds, both bombers unleashed hell. 16 GBU-31V3J dams. $2,000 pound-hardened penetrators dropped silently into the dark, falling at near Mach 1. The impacts came in waves. The first pair slammed through the radar dome, collapsing at 60 feet away in a firestorm of twisted steel and shrapnel. Seconds later, explosions ripped through the launchers, igniting the HQ-19 solid fuel boosters in violent secondary detonations that lit the sky. The final blows came from two bunker busters with delayed fuses drilling deep into the command center before erupting. Servers, consoles, reinforced walls pulverized in an instant. From the first detonation to the last, it took just 88 seconds to reduce the site to a cratered wasteland. Fires raged at 2,000. Ammunition stores cooked off in chain reactions, their blasts echoing across the coastline, heard 20 miles away. The B-2 South didn't flinch. Without afterearners, they banked west, sliding back into the night. Ghosts once more. Behind them, the F-35Cs lingered only long enough to confirm the kill with infrared eyes. The verdict was final. Radar dark, comm silent, launchers gone, to 21 a.m. The strike force was already racing back over open water. For Beijing, the loss wasn't just hundreds of millions in advanced weaponry. It was humiliation. Their proudest anti-stealth system erased in less than 2 minutes by aircraft they never even saw coming. By 2:37 a.m., satellites confirmed what the pilots already knew. The HQ-19 battery's combat capability had been wiped from existence 100%. And with that, the night sky went silent. The aftermath. What had once been a fortress on the coast was now nothing more than a smoking scar. The radar mast lay snapped in half like a broken spear. Missile launchers twisted into heaps of glowing steel. And where the hardened command bunker once stood, there was now only a crater 30 feet deep. The Pentagon's first assessments were staggering. 3 HQ-19 missile launchers destroyed, each worth over $60 million. 1 phased array radar system valued at $150 million erased. 4 auxiliary vehicles gone, and the entire command center obliterated. In less than 2 minutes, China had lost between $350 and $400 million worth of cutting weaponry. But the price tag was only part of the story. The operational impact was devastating. With that HQ-19 battery offline, a 120-mile stretch of China's coastal air defense grid went dark. A blind spot had opened over one of Beijing's most vital maritime corridors. For U-Pacific forces, that window meant opportunity. Carrier groups, patrol aircraft, surveillance drones. Suddenly, they could move through the region without the looming threat of long-range anti-stealth missiles. 3:15 a.m. The President of the United States addressed the world. The statement was backed with satellite images and radar logs. The tone was direct. An American B-2 Spirit had been attacked without provocation while flying in international airspace. And the United States, the President declared, had exercised its right to respond under Article 51 of the UN Charter. Let this be clear, the President said, we will defend our aircraft. We will defend our crews, and we will defend our freedom to operate wherever international law allows. The geopolitical shock waves were instant. Allies took notice. Rivals recalculated. And across the Pacific, the balance of power shifted. The world reacts. Within 6 hours, the response was global. The Philippines, Japan, and Australia all issued public statements of support condemning China's missile launch as reckless and destabilizing. Asian stock markets wavered at first, brief dips fueled by fear of escalation. But when traders saw that America's strike was precise, limited, and controlled, crafted to send a message without igniting a wider war, the markets quickly rebounded. Behind the curtain, however, intelligence painted a different picture. Intercepts revealed frantic activity inside China's Eastern Theater Command. Mobile HQ-19 units scrambled inland. Radar frequencies were shifted. Satellites were repositioned to plug what analysts were already calling the Scarborough Gap. But no amount of repositioning could erase the humiliation. $350 million worth of cutting-edge air defenses erased by the bombers that never even showed up on radar. By sunrise, the B-2 Spirits were already back on the tarmac in Guam, engines cooling, fuselages glistening in the pre-dawn air. The mission had lasted just over 9 hours, covering 6,000 nautical miles, and it left Beijing with one undeniable truth. When the United States decides to strike even the most advanced defenses can be shattered in minutes. The Scarborough incident was over in less than a day, but its consequences would echo for years. What began at 9:42 a.m. as a lone B-2 Spirit drifting quietly through contested skies ended with a meticulously executed strike that leveled one of China's most advanced anti-stealth networks in just 88 seconds. The message was unmistakable. America's resolve, its speed, its precision, all proved capable of neutralizing a threat before an adversary even realized the fight had begun. For Washington, the operation reinforced U.S. credibility and deterrence across the Pacific. For Beijing, it was a brutal reminder. $350 million in weaponry means nothing if you can't even see what's coming. The return of the spirits. The B-2 South had flown more than 6,000 nautical miles. They had dropped $80,000 pounds of precision ordnance, and they came back untouched. Not a single radar lock, not a single scratch. Analysts would later highlight 3 reasons why the mission was incredible, right? First off, we've got stealth tech that's so next level, it's still unmatched decades later. Then there's this amazing teamwork across air, sea, and electronic warfare, every branch totally in sync. And don't forget the political will to act fast when it really counts. For America's allies, that strike was more than just a tactical win. It was solid proof that Washington's promises, like the Mutual Defense Treaty with the Philippines, are the real deal, not just empty words. When the Pacific finally calmed down, one thing was clear over the South China Sea: if anyone tries to lock onto an American aircraft again, they'll know exactly how fast the response will be and how it'll end. If this caught your attention, don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth military insights. Give us a thumbs up to support the channel, and share this so more folks can see the real story behind the headlines.